Okay. Hey, welcome to West
Hi,
Coast Massholes. That's
welcome.
Josh.
That's
That,
that, that's
and that's
that's me.
Todd.
That's
Todd.
Todd, right
Uh,
there. That's him.
the timer has
Um,
started. We've got 15 minutes till George Takei tells us to shut the fuck up.
yeah, boy.
Josh,
Yo,
I've had the most fucked up day.
tell me about
It's
it.
my own stupid shit, It's like in the pandemic, like when I'm trying to get stuff, and like half the time nobody's paying me to get stuff done. I'm creating stuff for myself to do, right?
Yeah,
So then I
yeah.
create a schedule and I got to do all this shit. And so this morning, the first thing after neatening up the house, I was going to Lowe's to pick up garden soil for my wife. She ordered some garden soil, so I had to go, and
Mm,
they bring it out to your car and they put it in your trunk. It's that whole thing.
mm.
But in order to get it, you have to have an ID proving you're you and it's your soil, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get there. I'm about to call in and tell them to come out. I open my wallet to get my ID. It's not there. My ID is gone.
Mm.
And I'm like, shit, I just drove here without a license. Now I have to go home and get my license to come back. And I was like, well, I know I took it out of my wallet yesterday, as well as my bank card, to go riding to the bank and make a check deposit on my bicycle, right?
So it
And then,
must be in your spandex, is what you're
well,
saying.
I swear I tore everything apart, and I was in a, when you can't find shit that you need and you just have an anxiety attack and you can't see straight. I like
Mm-hmm.
went over, I retraced my steps 1,000 times, went, like over and over. And then I finally said, my son wasn't in class yet. So I said, hey, Colby, is there a way you can help me? I'll take you through these steps and you can look for me. Cause sometimes having fresh eyes. And sure enough, like after I'd looked for an hour and hadn't been able to find it, it took him 15 minutes to find it.
Oh, yeah,
And I had
yeah,
just absentmindedly put it in a bowl inside the front door, like on a piece of furniture inside the front door
yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
where we put our little individual hand sanitizers that you take every time you leave the house. So
Mm-hmm.
yesterday I took that for the bank, but when I put it back in the thing, I also apparently dropped my license and bank card in there.
Oh,
So all's well that ends well. But Jesus Christ, I was having a complete conniption. It was, and I hated and this is the second time this week because uh, the other day, my wife goes out to our car, and accidentally ejects the key fob off the key, and it disappears, and we can't find it. So this is the second time this week that I've been like, I can't find shit. It's just awful. All right, I'm
you
done
have to do
complaining.
St. Anthony's prayer. You have to do St. Anthony's prayer.
What's
What is
that?
it? St. Anthony, look around. Something's lost and can't be found. You've never heard
Oh,
that one?
I guess I'd
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
It's a you have to yeah you have to invoke upon your Catholicism. Um,
I don't I
but
like
yeah,
I very rarely do, but I'll honestly say today I said, because I'm not a religious person. I think it's a bunch of nonsense, but my old Catholicism comes back when I'm in a panic. Eventually I'll go, God, cut me some slack. So, and he
I
did.
went in the ocean the other I went in the ocean the other day with my buddy, and it was fucking cold, man. It was freezing. It was like 50 something degrees, and warming up by this little fire pit, and he's like, and I was like, "Oh, you ready to go back?" And he's like, "No." I go, "Come on, let's go. We can talk to the Lord." He's like, "Yeah." Like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, it's cold." I'm like, "Exactly."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I try not to do that because it feels, very hypocritical of me, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Well,
It was ingrained in my brain for the first 18 years of my life that it was a real
mm,
thing. It took a while to get over that.
yeah. I gratefully got um my mother indoctrinated me into Catholic school in first grade, and I had come from much more liberal, free thinking places before. So I was like, "What the hell is this? Why do I got to wear these fucking ugly clothes?" And I like clothing. Even at a young age, I liked clothing. I'm like, "This thing's ugly. This is not very flattering for my physique." As a 4-year-old, but by fifth grade, the end of fifth grade, she got me out of there. Man, it was a fucking nightmare.
But
Yeah,
you kept going to church though, right?
hardly, hardly. So what do I say? I was baptized, communed, but never confirmed. I never did my confirmation.
Oh,
So
so
I
you
am
didn't do Sunday school and all that shit?
not really, not really. By the time we were old enough to figure shit out, my uncle would drop me and my cousin off at church, and then he'd go fuck off and do whatever. So we were like, why do we have to go when these people don't? So we'd wait for him to drive off, and then we'd walk down the side of the church and go and play stickball in the park. So like, why would we go sit there if you're not going to sit there, you fucking hypocrites?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Yeah.
So no, and then you saw the movie Spotlight. You knew what was going on in Boston. Like, come on,
Well,
fucking
yeah,
bunch of
while I
fucking
was there,
pedophiles.
I was
Yeah,
never
man.
officially an altar boy, but I did in my small town church sometimes perform altar boy duties if an official one was sick.
So
Um,
you were molested.
no, I wasn't.
Oh, okay. Well,
But
that's
I
good.
mean, my priest growing up was really cool. He was a renegade priest, and he did, back in the '80s, he was doing gay marriages and stuff as a
Really?
Catholic priest. So he passed away, but when the guy who replaced him was an utter creep, and I didn't like him. It was one of the reasons I would not want to go to church. Um, so I don't
Yeah.
know if that guy was a molester or whatever, but he was just off-putting and unpleasant. And I was like, what? Like the other guy was so nice. Why is this guy like that? But I got
Yeah, yeah,
confirmed. I did the whole damn thing. And I
yeah.
remember my confirmation day too, because I don't know who it is, the Archbishop of Boston or whatever it was, or the Cardinal, or I can't
Yeah, it was
remember all the
Cardinal
names.
Law. Wasn't it Cardinal Law?
Whoever, I don't know, whoever might come out and
Yeah,
speak
Cardinal
to.
Law was the guy who I actually spoke to him on the phone one day because of the hockey accident in when I was in high school. But he called me. But he was the one who was helped. He was in. I don't know if he was ever indicted, but he was definitely brought up with that whole spotlight thing with all the with helping to protect the pedophile priests.
And I don't know if the guy who spoke at my confirmation was indeed that guy. I really don't know. But
Mhm.
what I do know, like, one, to have our confirmation, we had to do it in a not Catholic church because our Catholic church was so small. They needed a larger church. So the
Okay.
Protestant reverend said, you can use our church for your Catholic confirmation. So that's weird out of the gate, right? And we're
Yeah.
there, and then the Cardinal Law or whoever it was is talking to us, just the sermon part of the ceremony. And he starts talking about how ACDC is, a product of the devil. He says their album is called Highway to Hell. And if you listen to ACDC, you'll be on a highway to hell. You should listen to somebody who's more
So Zeppelin's
thoughtful.
okay because Zeppelin is then okay because it's highway to
Stairway
stairway
to
to heaven.
heaven. Yeah.
So
It
Zeppelin
takes a
is of
lot
the
longer to
Lord.
get to heaven than to get to hell, I guess, because of infrastructure. but but he goes, you should listen to good music, thoughtful music, music that makes you introspective and think about yourself and bettering yourself, like Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror. And I remember thinking, one, I know Michael Jackson's great, and I loved Thriller and Off the Wall and stuff, but I thought that song Man in the Mirror was a piece of shit, and I didn't like that era of Michael Jackson's career. And he's telling me that this band that I like, and ACD is problematic. Sure, they're
Yeah.
misogynistic. None of the problems he had with them, but they have problems, mostly misogyny. And but ACDC's Highway to Hell is a way better album than the Man in the Mirror album, for one. And I'm like, shut up. What, you're talking about Michael Jackson now? Do you think he's looked at himself in the mirror? Every time he looks at himself in the mirror, he gets plastic surgery. Is that what you want us to do? Like, what's your point? So I remember on my confirmation day was and I already had my doubts, but my confirmation day was definitely my first day where I said, as soon as I'm out of the house, I'm not going to church anymore, because my
Hmm.
mom made me go. And she has since quit the church herself. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole irony I found. Like my mom and her sisters, and they all went to Catholic school, and they fucking hated it. So they're like, fast forward, yeah, we'll put our kids through the same shit we did. It's like, fuck you guys, it's on you now. We had crazy. I mean, they went through some hell. Like if their skirts weren't long enough, they had to kneel on pencils, like go to the and like just endure physical pain and torture. We had a nun in my school, Sister Prudence. I'll never forget her. She was equally tall, wide as she was tall, and she was short. So she was like 4 something, but just this ball of fiery violence. And she walked with this pointer stick, and just if you weren't walking in a straight line or if you talked in line, it was like whack right off the freaking leg.
Jesus
Bah!
Christ.
Yeah. And then I think the icing on the cake to get me out of Catholic school was Sister Marie Bernadette. And I'm terrible with names, so the fact that I can remember these people tells you something. She was insane, man. She would I remember I like fell down at recess and cried, as kids do.
Yeah.
I cry now. I'm a 43-year-old man. I cry at friggin' commercials. I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. But she brought me up in front of the whole class after recess and bullied me and proceeded to say if her older brothers were here, they would have beat me up because boys don't cry. And what do you think I'm going to do? Feel good about myself now? So I start crying even more. So it's like, no, they beat you up even more now in front of the whole fucking class, man.
Jesus.
All the kids, and what do kids do? They laugh because the teacher is like, so it was like
being
a
a
group
bully.
assault. Yeah, group assault. And apparently she had to go to some mental hospital the next year for some mental health issues. So yeah, she was responsible for the minds of youth in our community. So I ended up getting out of Catholic school and after 5th grade, thank God.
Yeah,
God. But then
I'm glad I
you
didn't.
know,
I wasn't in Catholic school. I just had to go to
yeah.
church every Sunday, and then every Monday night I had to go to CCD,
Oh, awful.
which is like
CCD.
Sunday school basically. But
Yeah,
we did it on Mondays.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so boring. And that's true. My mom, when I asked her why she still goes to church. She just doesn't go to Catholic church. She goes to like Unitarian church or something. And I said, why? Like, why did you finally decide that it was bad, that you didn't want to go? And I was like, is it because of the molestations? And she said, well, that's part of it. But for a long time, I've just hated the way the Catholic Church spends its money. And I was like, okay, that's an interesting reason. Like, like spending all their money telling kids not to have sex rather than teaching safe sex or, and that sort of thing. She just didn't like how they spent their money. I thought that was an interesting reason to leave. I left not because of finding out about molestations, not because I didn't find out about that really till after I left, and not because of the way I left, because church is fucking boring.
Yeah. Kneel, stand.
Yeah.
Please be seated. Kneel, stand. Please. The only reason they do that is to help you not fall asleep. That's the only reason. Oh, and like, okay, come and eat this terrible tasting little thing that my hands were all over, and believe that it's the body of Christ.
Yeah, you gotta eat. Oh, Jesus, it's like, imagine doing that during COVID. Jesus.
Oh yeah, and a bunch of like hundreds of people drinking from the same glass. This is very sanitary.
Yeah, I never. I thought it was disgusting. Disgusting.
Yeah,
I had one there in my mom's hometown of Ware, Massachusetts. There was a priest.
Where?
Yes.
Where?
Yeah, where?
No, where?
Yeah, in Massachusetts.
Hey, Abbott Costello, everybody! Hey.
But the guy,
where?
guy, I don't know what his deal was, but he would race through a mass. Like, that's why my grandfather liked going to this church, in his town, because he'd get done with the mass in 20 minutes instead of an hour.
Express mass.
It was so fast. It was like listening to an auctioneer. Like, it literally sounded. This is how he sounded. Almighty Father. Amen. It was the only Catholic mass that I could stand, because I knew I'd be done in 20 minutes, and there was a donut place across the street, and I got donuts.
Oh yeah, that was the best part. Sunday donuts from Dunky's, kid. Gotta get you a dozen donuts from Dunk's, guy, with medium regular.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't Dunkin'.
So
in a small town, it was a mom and pop place called Estrella's Donuts. and it burned down. That was
what do
the
you think? You're
saddest
better
day.
than me?
Yes.
Yeah, it burnt down because donkeys needed to move in. Because donkeys wanted to move in. So the donkeys
burned
sent in their arsonists.
Probably.
Donkeys got a whole crew of arsonists. You know they have a university in Massachusetts, Dunkin' Donuts University. Hey, fuck you, George. We're talking
Easy on
donkeys,
George.
all right? This
It's
is
not his fault. He's just trying to do his part.
No, I like George. I actually love George TK. He's
Yeah,
great,
he's
man.
great.
Yeah.
What were you saying before?
That Dunkin' Donuts has its own university in Massachusetts. I think it's like Western Mass or something. There's a Dunkin' Donuts University.
What would they
Yeah.
teach you how to sell donuts, or
Maybe. I have no idea. I don't know. But
because like
fun
out
fact
here, there's like an In-N-Out Burger school where you go to train to work at In-N-Out Burger. But are you saying Dunkin' Donuts is like an actual university?
I believe so. You'll have to Google that shit.
Yeah.
At least it was in existence. And a fun fact, the first Dunkin' Donuts ever was in Quincy, Massachusetts. Quincy, Mass. First one.
Did you go there?
Ever. Oh, I've been there. I've been there.
Do you think the donuts at that particular Dunkin' are better than others?
No.
No.
I wasn't a huge
crap.
donut guy. Yeah, of course. But I wasn't a huge Dunkin' donut guy. I was more bagel cream cheese or the blueberry muffins. Heated up, cut in half, big slab of butter. Oh yeah. Extra large iced coffee to start the day, extra cream, extra sugar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my breakfast of champion. Yeah. Oh fuck.
No cigarette. You sound like a picture I just saw of Ben Affleck with like iced coffee.
Oh yeah, and the cigarette. I tried to smoke cigarettes when I was young because I thought that's how you were supposed to be cool, but I never really got good at it. I always hated it. So yeah, I tried for a little bit. My young 20s, I maybe lasted a couple months, and then I had to kick it. But it's not good for you.
I smoked a lot in college because I went to NYU, and I had smoked a little in high school to try and be cool, but in New York everybody smoked, so I just smoked along with everybody. I got pretty good at it. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
it was a pretty good smoker.
What was your brand? What was your brand?
Well, when I first started smoking in college, I smoked Camel unfiltered.
Ooh, wow! So you were like right to Vietnam vet status.
Yeah, hardcore. And then
you were right to like,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
And by the time I moved out here, I'd quit. I like quit, and then I come back, and then I quit, and I come back. So at the end, it was American Spirit, mostly because they lasted longer.
Okay.
Because those all the other cigarettes.
That's supposedly the healthier one, right?
It's cancer either way. They last longer. It's because they don't put additives and sugar in them, because it's the sugar paper that makes them burn really fast. So that I guess that's the upside of American Spirits, is they last longer. But and you're like, when you get cancer, it's 100% natural. There's no additives in your cancer if you get it from American Spirits.
All right, that's why they call us the Massholes.
We're Massholes, and we like to wrap things up this way. Fuck you, Nazis.
Fuck you, Nazis.
See you next time, not Nazis.
Eat a dick, Nazis.
There it is. This has been a Blursh production. Blursh.